Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to Talk of the Devils, brought to you by talkofthedevils.co.uk, your favourite United podcast. I hope you've all had a good bank holiday. That was a nice way to top it off tonight. Finally, a win under my belt, doing a hosting gig on here, as I was saying to the boys backstage. Hopefully, with more things to come next season. Stu, Phil, Lee, fabulous again to have you on. Thank you so much for taking up your time. Good to see you all. What a panel we've got tonight. And Stu, I'll come to you first. Nice to be in the driving seat for a change.
It's been a while since we've played any type of what we'd normally class as football. Let's put it that way. I've been calling for weeks, as you well know, for Juan Mata to start to get to have a go in the number 10. Put Bruno as an 8. Not so much out on the left as what he was today, but certainly as an 8. And then obviously Matic and McTominay or Fred. What you've got, and I think when you look at what Brentford brought to the occasion as well, with the likes of Eriksen, there's no substitute for quality. Whether you've lost your pace, you never lose your mind. You never lose the magic of your feet. You never lose the ability to pick a pass, to control it dead, to move it quickly, to move it slowly, to move it 20 yards, to move it 2 yards. And Juan Mata's got that. And it kind of beggars belief, really, why we hadn't brought him on for maybe 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes during some games or most of the games this season, because he was the main catalyst for me. And I think Ronaldo was looking at him more than any other player on our team. Possibly Elanga as well, but certainly Mata, because he knew what Mata could do. Mata can pick the lock. He's an escapologist, isn't he? Escapologist. He's got what it takes at the right time in games. And to be fair, the two best players on the pitch, if you take Ronaldo out of the equation tonight, because he was phenomenal, were Mata and Eriksen. And when you look at the two types of players, Eriksen, well, crikey, he's lucky to be here, isn't he? Let alone play football. He's actually lucky to be breathing. And for him to come back 9 games in, it's like he never went away. So quality you can never underestimate. And I think for me, I'm absolutely delighted that Mata came in. I thought we were a little bit shaky in parts. Dallo in particular, I didn't think was great tonight. Again, didn't think Tellez was great. The lads are a lot more astute to tell me, with regards to positioning, because I thought both of them were out of position on occasions. I thought Varane was much better tonight. Varane's probably had his best game, I think, in a Manchester United shirt.
Yep.
Capped off with his goal. Where was that performance 6 weeks ago, though? That's what you've got to ask yourself. Why all of a sudden have we just decided to turn up? Again, the lads will be able to tell me this because they've lived and breathed it. So, but yeah, all in all, absolutely delighted. And it's great fun. You got to win, Mark.
I know, it's about time. I've been looking forward to this for weeks. Well, what seems like an age. You hit the nail on the head with Mata. I thought he was excellent in the number 10 role. I saw a tweet actually that made me chuckle. 8 years after he arrived, we finally found the right position for Mata as a number 10, and absolutely right, he was played on the wing far too often. I know we saw that at Chelsea, but by the time he came to United, he'd lost his legs a little bit. Great to have you on. As I said, Phil, I'll come to you next. Your thoughts on Mata tonight as well. He obviously played a very instrumental part. Stu hit the nail on the head as well about intelligence, and we've seen this before actually, and I remember this very vividly last season. Against Brighton in the League Cup, you had Bruno, Mata and Van der Beek all playing in that midfield, and they seemed to allow each other to tick, and I think we saw that tonight, didn't we? Especially with Mata on the field.
Yeah, 100%, Mark. I think it was, a clinic tonight from both Mata and Eriksen in just, keeping the ball moving. I wouldn't say they did anything, spectacular, but I think what they did do was they just, kept the ball moving, picked up clever positions, always offering to receive the ball. And I think, it was clear for everyone to see that, them two players today was the sort of catalyst for all the sort of things that the teams were doing in terms of trying to create things. There was the main people who was getting on the ball and finding them passes to sort of start off attacks and just to keep the ball moving. So yeah, brilliant to see Mata obviously get a game tonight, which he's not had his chance for one reason or another. But for me, he was outstanding tonight, and I think he's somebody who can, if he leaves at the end of the season, he can sort of maybe finish the last couple of games of the season and get a little run and prove and show what his quality is. And I think for me, Eriksen, Stu touched on it there. He's obviously, had the heart scare to come back and to sort of be playing at the level he showed tonight was phenomenal, really. In a sort of, Brentford have done really well this year. They punched above the weight, but he was brilliant tonight. I thought somebody who, potentially we could look at maybe bringing in as a not, I wouldn't say a long-term fix, because obviously he's getting on a little bit, but I think he would add that quality to our squad. And obviously some of the younger lads could maybe learn off somebody like him, because I think there's not many players around who'd be available that are like him. We would come in and sort of fit into our style of play under Ten Hag. So yeah, a great night and a lot more positives to sort of talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. A great night indeed. Loads of you on Twitter. If you want to come over to youtube.com/Talk of the Devils, we can't read your comments. We'd absolutely love to go through these. Just a couple of comments before I move over to you, Lee. Evening, boys. Great 3-0 win tonight. Sad to see Matters. Not sure what you're trying to say there. Matt's last home game. Yeah, question for the guys. Do you think we wasted Mata's best years? I'll come to you on that, Lee. I know we kind of touched about it, but in order to answer this question, what do you think?
I mean, Mata, when he come, we all knew what he did at Chelsea. He was a genius on the ball, and surprised me really in these last few years why he's not had more of a chance. I thought, we've not seen him so much that as his legs got, and can he not do it anymore? But it showed glimpses of when they have brought him on this season that he has still got he's still got it in his locker. Like Stu said, he's still got the brains and the intelligence to affect the game. I mean, it's no surprise that we've put Mataron and Matic today. You put two technical players in that midfield. We've managed to look like we can keep the ball for more than two passes and not lose our heads. You know what I mean? It's you need players who believe in their own ability and believe that when they do get the ball, they can retain possession and not flop every time they get it, and they've got to play up the backside. It probably just goes to show what kind of players we're going to have to sign. We're under 10 out to improve. We need that type of player who's got the confidence now and who believes in his own ability. If we can get a younger Mata and not do what we've done with one, then fair play, because like I say, it probably could have affected games over years a lot more than he's been able to, and it's a shame really. So yeah, it probably has been wasted a little. Like I say, we everybody knows what he can do on the ball, and at that number 10 role, he's looked really well these last couple of games. So it's a shame really, but it is what it is now, and we just need to look at replacing him with a younger, more better fit for us.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. Just going to come to a few more comments before we move on to Bruno Fernandez. Wayne in the comments here. Great to have you here, buddy. Evening, gents. Hope you're all well. Enjoyed the game. The sort of routine victory we used to massively take for granted. I've been really impressed with Ronaldo's general performances of late. Good friend of mine, David, in the comments too. Good to have you, buddy. On Mata, don't think we had a system effective enough to get the best out of him. A couple of decisions from the ref in the penalty area had me thinking he'd been on the cooking Warsteiner. Absolutely. Good little comment there. Thank you, matey. Stu, talking about Bruno Fernandez, he's actually come up with a couple of comments, which I'll go through in a minute. But he was obviously played on that left-hand side tonight. I know you and I have spoken about playing him on the right-hand side a few times, but I felt that he was actually... We know that he can operate in a number 10 role, but he's obviously... been a little bit lackluster for one reason or another, but I thought he was very good on that left-hand side tonight. But give me your over thoughts on his performance.
Yeah, well, for once, we didn't stifle him with our play. If you look at the last 3 months, 4 months, maybe even 6 months, actually, when Pogba's been in the side and when he's not been in the side, we haven't had the right players around him that can unlock Bruno's potential. People say, well, the first 18 months when he came in, he was phenomenal. He was doing that, breaking up play, putting the worldy passes in, scoring goals, etc. And then he's kind of gone off the boil. Two things happened to, and again, sorry guys, I know I keep referring to you guys, but you'll know this more than most, that two things can happen to a footballer after a certain period of playing in the same team in the same league. Is that if you don't tweak and adjust your game, you become predictable. And I think Bruno's become slightly predictable in his play. When he plays with Pogba, we know that both like the free roll, and it's impossible to fit two players in with who both like a free roll. So you need to take one out of the equation, and it was always going to be take Pogba out because of his injury record, etc. And so when Pogba was in there, certainly when Fred and McTominay have been in there, they've almost stifled him. So what's happened is he's either had to come exceptionally deep to get the ball, or he's got lazy and hasn't come deep. We've needed him where he was on the pitch today, within the 10 or 15 yards away from the penalty, from the centre circle and their penalty area, so he could pick up the ball and do something with it. We haven't seen that from him for a long time. Mata, again, as the lads have said, he didn't do anything brilliant, but he enabled Bruno to play that free role. Bruno knew that when Mata would get the ball, it would stick. And that's a key element sometimes in games of football. You need a football to stick to a player and then be able to play off it. And I think that's, again, something Mata brought. And I think Bruno really benefited from that today. So did Ronaldo and so did Elanga. And I think it's a really big thing for the way that we're playing. I'd love to see it happen again away at Brighton on, I think it's Saturday or Sunday? Saturday, I think it is, isn't it? Late Saturday evening.
Yeah.
I'd like to see them do that. I'd like to see them stick to a similar way of playing now. People are asking, do we think that Mata's played his last game? I think that'd be a mistake. I said it was a mistake 3-4 weeks ago if it was his last game. Do you bring him in as an ambassador? No. What I would do is bring him in, keep him in, extend his contract for a year, but get him to work with the younger players, get him to work with Medjbury, get him to work with Garner if he comes back, get him to work with Fernandez, get them to understand what it's like to be a professional footballer day in, day out. There's not enough leaders in that dressing room, as we know, and there's not enough on-field coaching in that dressing room, as we know. Mata brings all of that. He's such a, I think, pivotal for the squad, not just the starting 11, but for the squad. So I would utilise him better. And I think Bruno needs that freedom. He needs to have that player in and around him that can really help him. And I think Mata's unlocked him again today.
Yeah, absolutely right. We've had a late entry. Better late than never, Reese. Good to see you, buddy. I'll get your overall thoughts on the game. First of all, we've covered Mata obviously had an excellent performance. We'll start talking about Bruno a little bit. I'll come to some of the comments he's made in a moment. But yeah, just your thoughts on the game then, buddy.
Sorry I'm late. I did have a serious emergency that I had to deal with. It really happened during the game. But overall, I thought the performance was fantastic. I thought the mixture of senior and young players worked really well. Albeit I did think a few players shouldn't have started, although one of them did contribute massively today, and that was Mata. Professional performance from him, although I was my mindset today was just play the young players, give them that run out. Now's as good a chance as any. It's the last game of the season at home. Our last home game of the season, better choice of words. And it'd be great to just see them have a run out, especially with the Youth Cup final coming up. It'd be great for them to get that extra experience playing at Old Trafford. The 90-minute run out against a physical Brentford side. But overall, I thought the players like Mata, Matic handled midfield really well. I thought Fernandez was excellent in midfield. Definitely turnaround for him. Back four were not too bad, although Dallo was a little bit sloppy at times, which is coincidentally, no surprise. Of course, he was a bit poor. I thought Tellez actually was fairly decent. I thought that was a better performance from him for a change. The centre-back partnership eventually clicked. I thought Lindelof started quite slow Respectfully, I thought he was a bit slow. I think Varane started quite quickly in the game. He got himself into the game really quickly, although he didn't really have much to do. Because I thought Tony was useless. Mbeumo, he was very silent. A mouse could have caught past him. But De Gea was comfortable, and I thought the front three was excellent. I was surprised that Fernandez played as a left winger, but he played excellent on the left-hand side. Ronaldo, dangerous. I think Kevin Friend has made an enemy for life out of Ronaldo for VAR, but that kicked him into overdrive. And Elanga as well didn't do much, but he was involved in the game. So overall for me, I thought 3-0 was fair, considering the fact I had 4-2 on Friday, so I was fairly close-ish.
Yeah, just 3 goals out, but close enough. At least it was a win. So just I'll come to you on these, Reece, as well. Bruno Fernandez, last game of the season at home, we wanted to give a good result and good performance. We know our standard has not been the same as we expect, but last game of the season we finished well at home. Now we have to have more games to focus on those. The fans have been amazing supporting us. We know that our season has not been at the level it should be, but there is nothing we can do now but finish in the best way possible, win games, and after think of next season. He's obviously spoke a lot of truth, something we're already very aware of, and unfortunately just a little bit too late for me. And as I said on a number of occasions last few weeks, I'm desperate for this season to finish, and hopefully we see a clear out, players come in, and we can start again. But anything you might want to add to what you said there?
I think I get the comments, but I think I'm going to be more interested because obviously I didn't play a professional level or semi-pro. I played beneath it, but I'm looking forward to hearing Phil and Lee's comments on this. But for me, I think in all due respect, his comments are in the right place, but it's the wrong time. I think these sort of comments should have been before the Everton game, when I think the Everton game really killed the season. Like that period really, we already knew the season was over, but the loss to Everton really did kill the season off. And I think it's just a little too late. His heart's in the right place and the comments are accurate, but it's the whole mantra, isn't it? Wrong place, wrong time. That's what I think about the comments. He is right though, but for me it's wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, absolutely. So Cristiano Ronaldo, and I come to you on this, Phil. He was obviously excellent tonight. Got his 2 goals. Unfortunately, he didn't get a hat-trick, but really, really looked hungry, and he has done in the last couple of games. Do you think he is... I know this is seems like a silly question, but it is really dependent on whether he's going to fit a Ten Hag system. But do you think it's absolutely important to keep him on for next season?
Yeah, essential, mate. I think obviously his performance tonight was fantastic. I think that's probably the best all-round performance I've seen from him. In terms of his hold-up play, I thought that was fantastic. His work ethic when he did give the ball away, he was chasing back. I thought he was, helping out other younger players at times and sort of encouraging, which is always nice to see from somebody who's obviously an iconic figure and a big role model for a lot of them lads. He obviously got his goal, a few nice fancy flicks, which comes hand in hand with Cristiano Ronaldo. But yeah, I thought fantastic performance tonight, and I hope that he is a big sort of part of the club sort of next season, because I think even though at 37 years of age he's not going to sort of have the energy and probably the legs that this new manager is going to want, I think, for the amount of goals that he'll bring and to sort of just have someone of his caliber in the squad is vital for sort of the club moving forward. And I think he's somebody who can, he's proven this year by scoring as many goals as he has done in a very bang average Man United scene, that he can still do it. So if we do find to sort of bring better players in the transfer window, and we do start playing with a little bit more confidence and creating a bit more opportunities like we have done tonight, he's obviously going to find the back of the net, and you need someone in your team who's going to do that if you're going to be challenging in any competition. So no better person in world football really for me than Ronaldo. But yeah, tonight, again, led by example, and yeah, I thought it was a magnificent performance from sort of all the lads really, but I thought Ronaldo was obviously a standout in terms of, you know, in that final third, led by example. And yeah, he was brilliant. Glad he's got his goal. I just hope he gets another 2 league goals, because obviously he's got that record of scoring 20 league goals.
For
So
12
yeah,
years now.
fingers crossed he can get 2 more goals and keep that record rolling.
I think that's the only thing that United fans can really sort of hold out for now, isn't it? Getting that 20 goal mark
that's
for
it,
him,
mate,
and that says it all about our season, really. But yeah, absolutely phenomenal performance tonight. Really, really happy for him, of course.
Where is he in the Golden Boot?
He is one behind Salah now, I believe.
No, he's one. He's one. Son's ahead of him as well. Son's on 19.
Right.
Yeah.
All of Son's goals, so far this season, are non-penalty goals as well.
Are they?
If Salah wins it, I'll be annoyed. But I think I'd like Ronaldo to win it. But for the sake of not scoring a single penalty, just give it to Son.
Yeah.
That is
It'd be
quite
good if Ronaldo took it, though, wouldn't it? First season back.
If he does, it would be funny.
It'd be lovely. Just to go into that a little bit more, Cristiano Ronaldo, Lee, he said, "I'm not finished," is what he said, and a journalist has tweeted that just now in an interview. So, do you expect him to perhaps stay at United next season?
Well, just listening to what you and Phil were saying then, and that's what was literally entering my head, to be honest with you. I suppose, like I say, it's for me, it's a no-brainer that we keep him. He's scored 20 odd goals this season in one of the worst Man United teams I've ever watched. You know what, we mentioned it on Friday, but imagine if you would have put him in a City or a Liverpool or a Chelsea this year, how many goals would he have scored? You know what I mean? So for me to do what he's done this season with the team he's done it in, it's been remarkable. And it just shows what kind of player he still is. I think the major problem is like you just said, he feels like he isn't finished. If Ten Hag brings another striker in and he wants to make the other striker the main focus, and Ronaldo maybe have to sit on the bench a little bit more and not being involved a little bit more, Ronaldo's not going to want to do that. So that's the worry, is when they're saying, is he going to fit into the system? Ronaldo's going to, wherever he goes before he retires, he's going to want to be, you know, the main striker, the main man in the team. For me, I'd keep him all the time, mate. I really would. He's the influence he brings, like you say, not just on the pitch but off the pitch. I mean, the professionalism he showed all his life. That, you know, the standard he sets, not just for the first team but the club and the young lads looking up to him and the new lads coming in. You know, he's like we've all said before, he's been the best of all time and he's still up there now. At my age, at 37, you know what I mean? It's a remarkable achievement, and like I say, it's not just for what he can do on the pitch; it's the overall influence he can still have at the club. So I'd break my neck to keep him. You know, hopefully he sees us as Man United as his family, and you know he want to end his career here. But I think he's only going to stay if he's going to be the main striker.
Yeah, I think he could well be. Let's hope and wait and see what happens at the end of the season. Stu, you're nodding your head. I'm just going to read out some stats for you first before I ask you your thoughts on him and whether you think he should stay. So yeah, game by numbers, 100% aerial duels won, 3 of those, 100% shot accuracy, 100% tackles won, 92% pass accuracy, 87 total touches, 3 ball recoveries, 1 chance created, 2 goals. And actually, something that was really important to me tonight was how much work rate was going into his game. You know, he's been criticised on a number of occasions, you know, tracking back and doing a little bit more for the team. But that was really important tonight. But yeah, talk to me about him.
Yeah, I think for the first time in a while, he's had that type of game that we know that Ronaldo's got in him. People always say that Ronaldo's rescued us, etc., etc., etc. You don't get rescued in a football match. There's 11 players plus the subs, so you never get rescued by one particular player. And let's face it, Ronaldo doesn't get the ball, weave around 10 outfield players and put the ball in the net on a regular basis. He has to, you know, get into the right positions, take the right pass, and pop the ball in the back of the net. I've always said that Ronaldo's a one-touch, one-goal player, and there are certain games where you get one chance in a game and you've got to have it. And Ronaldo's that type of player you need to be in that position. You know, the types of strikers that we've got in the club, Martial, certainly in his very early career with us, would almost fall into that category. But Rashford and our number 11, if he's still our number 11, and Alanga, they're not quite there yet, and they're a long way off being there. Even Son and Kane, they're not the one-touch, one-goal person that we need. If you can almost, as I say, find that player that can unlock Ronaldo's potential on a regular basis, even at 38 years of age, you've probably got the best striker in the league. Now, people are saying, how's he going to, stack up to Erling Haaland if Haaland comes? I don't think Haaland is the right type of player for City. His touch is awful. It's a little bit like Nunes. We're linked with Nunes, but he's got blancmange touch. His touch isn't great, but he knows where the goal is. Ronaldo's got a bit of everything. He's got that touch. He's still got the guile. He's still got a bit of pace. He's got strength, and he knows where the goal is. So Erling Haaland knows where the goal is. So does Nunes, but they don't have everything else that Ronaldo has got.
Just on the back of that shot on today's game, could you imagine if Eriksen, we had Eriksen and he was feeding the likes of Ronaldo? Now, you know what I mean? That could that's someone who could probably unlock his potential there.
Absolutely, 100% agree. I thought Eriksen and Mata were the two standout players for me. Like you said, though, Lee, not eye-catching in terms of their natural, athletic ability. It's their vision of pass, isn't it? It's their quality of pass.
That's what me and Phil was tweeting each other in between the match, and we said Eriksen, it's just what he's doing. Everything he does is quality. Even the short passes to the long passes. It's not like when we, as a midfield, we try and do 5 and 6. Worldy straight through passes. 9 or 10 of them, they get cut out 9 or 10 times out of 10. With Eriksen, it's very, very rarely gives the wall away, whether he's putting a cut through pass or a nice simple pass. And I think that's the difference. I think that's what kind of player we need.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we're linked with a variety of different Ajax players, aren't we? Let's be honest, Frankie de Jong, etc. We're going to get linked with Ajax players all the time now. But Eriksen, I'd take in a heartbeat as a no-brainer on a free. I wouldn't even bat an eyelid. I'd take him for 2 years that you get from him. Would be majestic for us, absolutely majestic. So that's how I saw Ronaldo today. I thought he was excellent, but at Ronaldo's age, all good strikers need, they're looking for that one intelligent, what I would call a ruthless pass. And Eriksen, Lee, you're right, you had it all day long, didn't he? And Mata, to be fair, brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. I think my concern, obviously, he was tremendous, absolutely tremendous player, linked with him while he was at Ajax, but I just feel that we need to probably find a younger type of player going forward, and perhaps a bit too risky. We're trying to steer clear from the high wages. We're trying to, potentially remove some of the older players at the club. And I just personally, for me, whilst he would bring a lot to the team, and become very valuable, I think we have that in players like Mata, for example, and I think obviously both very, very similar personally for me. I
don't know. I think there's one difference for me between Mata and Eriksen, is where Mata's got that acute control and he's got the agility behind him. Eriksen's got the agility and he's got the pace factor, and I think he's more aggressive. Now, I get your point, Mark. I think you're right. Like, we should avoid players with like the high wages and all that. But if Eriksen doesn't renew his contract with Brentford, which is completely fine, it's his choice. Brentford have done a great job getting him back into physical condition to at least play football. Even for a year or two, Eriksen would actually be like. I think the one good thing Eriksen would bring is if Mata goes, that's a player that can come in, fill his spot, that then gives Hannibal experience for him to mould into a number 10. I think Eriksen gives you that extra leeway, but I wouldn't use him like every single game. But what I think would be more proactive under Eriksen than Mata is Eriksen would definitely get more games than Juan Mata would, because like in a pressing team, Eriksen does press, and he does have the legs to do it. It's just how long, like in a game, roughly to use him for. I think it's all about being smart, and I think I wouldn't be opposed to bringing Eriksen even for like a year or two. But I don't want him to become in as the main player. Like if that wouldn't be the case for me.
Reece, I reckon we get him for 70k a week.
I think that's easy. Just ask.
Or
Just tell.
60k. He's at Brentford. He's going to be on what, 40 grand a week.
Exactly. That's not a big deal.
70k. I do.
I think as well, just on Eriksen, I think the biggest quality for me is as well, like I said it to Lee, I think the way he always wants to.
He always wants
left
to,
on a
he always wants,
left
he
on
always
a
wants to freeze.
cliffhanger there. We need to find out exactly what he was going to say there. but I
That
think
is,
we lost him
before
for
we
a
say
moment.
it, that is the best freeze face of all time.
Looks like Phil Jones.
That is the best ever. That is the best freeze face of all time.
Phil, your face froze and you looked exactly the same as Phil Jones going into a tackle.
You'll have to watch that back and have a look. It was quite amusing.
Sorry,
Phil. Say that all again, mate.
I was just saying, I think, just touching on Eriksen, I think for me, I said it to Lee earlier, I think that the beauty of him as well is he always looks to play forward. If he can, and he gets a bit of time, his first thought is kind of play forward. And I think with the players that we've got, obviously we touched on Ronaldo. I think he thrives off somebody who can pick that pass. And I think for me, if we could get Eriksen, even if it is for only a couple of years, he's a perfect sort of player to bring in who some of these young lads could learn off. And I think just going off tonight's performance, I say if I think put Eriksen in our team there as well tonight, we probably would have scored 3 or 4 more goals because some of the passes he was putting in. Some of our players with more quality would have had a field day out there. And, for me, he's somebody I would love to bring in. And as you said, I don't think we would have to pay massive wages because, as we said, he's at Brentford and, he's probably only going to be on 45, 50 grand, whatever. So for me, I think it's a no-brainer if he's available.
I think it's game management too. I think I mentioned it just before we come on air, but we would have put that team out what we put out today with your Matic and your Matters. Playing against, your mid-table teams, or your lower teams, which we've struggled with, because we've carried on playing the same midfield or the same shape, and we've struggled. If we would have put that team out today, what we put out, you can retain a ball, and we believe in their own abilities when they're on the ball, that type of play. I think them games what we've lost or we've drawn, we would have won. We would have been in a much healthier position now. Like I agree with what Marc said. It's probably not the long-term answer, and we do need to bring younger kids in. But to someone to have that experience there and to put him in games where, he'd be really valuable, where, maybe a better player, but a less experienced player, might not know how to play in certain games where, you need to be clever and you need to be cute and you need the ball retention. So I think if you do get a player like that, you've got to use him in the right games, and it's down to, man management.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, if 3 people can't be wrong, and certainly 2 former United players, so I'm going to have to accept defeat in this one. And perhaps you're absolutely right. Maybe he would bring some things to the team we don't have. With Mata probably going out the door 100%. Maybe we do need that other player to maybe help some of the players.
Can I make
like
another
Medjugorje.
point?
Go for it, Reese.
This is something you're going to love because obviously I've got Carragher and Keane on mute right now, but I've got subtitles on. Jamie Carragher has just had humble pie. He's just admitted that Ronaldo's not the problem after all, and he thinks United should keep him. Jamie Carragher, humble pie.
I know.
How things change very quickly. So some comments that obviously Ragnick has come on and said in his post-match interview. Phil, I'll come to you about these. So on his time as interim manager, in the end, I'm not happy with the results overall, especially in the last 4 or 5 weeks. Until the West Ham game, we were still in the race in 3 competitions. We had good moments until the West Ham game. We conceded fewer goals, but in the last few weeks' performances have not been as good as they should have been. In general, we lacked consistency. He does say tonight, though, that I think we were in control of the game. In possession, it was one of our best performances this year. Are you in agreement? Obviously, probably. But if you want to talk about anything else of what he said there, please go for it.
Yeah, no, I think 100% with tonight's performance. It for me, a lot of it comes down to maybe having the right personnel on the pitch. Obviously, we've had Rashford in the team for a number of weeks, who's for me looks absolutely shot of confidence, and I think he needed taken out of the team a while ago. Really, I think if you look at the performance tonight and how much of a big contrast it is from previous performances, it's sort of like you're sort of scratching your head thinking like, why can't we, have performed like this sort of in over the season, really? Because all we've done tonight, we've not done anything special. We've just, everyone's worked hard. They've done the basics well. We've scored our chances when they've, come and that's been a good solid performance for me tonight. Understandable, sometimes when you're playing against some of the better teams that, you are going to have less possession and you are going to have to maybe, play a different style of football. But for me, I just feel as though it's disappointing, really, that we've sort of had to wait so long for a performance that's been like this tonight. And some of them performances where we have lost games, it's been just through a lack of effort, really, which is it's the most concerning thing for me. Every player goes through bad patches. Every player has a bad game. We've said this numerous times this year. But there's no excuse really for not putting that 100% effort and commitment and just playing for a bit of pride, which I think is why we're in the position we're in. For the vast majority of it, I think we've sort of puffed and puffed through the season. We've had a good 45 minutes and then not been able to follow it through in the second half or vice versa. So yeah, I just feel as though this season now we need to just get it out of the way, try and finish the season with a couple of good performances, and just try and start looking to the future, building, get rid of the players who've obviously said they're going to leave and who maybe have come to the end of the road at United, and just sort of start focusing now on getting some of maybe these young lads into the squad. Obviously, the Youth Cup final. We've touched on that as well this week about some of them young lads. If they do well, they could get the chance to maybe kick in and start the pre-season off with United this next season and maybe save us quite a bit of money in the transfer market, because some of them players, your Garnachos of the world and Hannibal, have got massive potential for me, and they could be ones that you've got sitting on your doorstep rather than having to go out and spend 50, 60, 70 million. So yeah, obviously a good win tonight, and we just want to see two more good performances to end the season. But I think Ralph's hit the nail on the head with previous performances. It's not been good enough, and every player really could probably couldn't argue with that fact. I think it's clear to every single fan that we've been well below par this year, considering how big of an expectation we had at the start of the season. We've been massively underwhelming.
Yeah, good points, well made. And you mentioned about Rashford there. Listen, I'm not going to go in on him at all. Actually, I'm pleased he's obviously having some time out. But I'm going to come to I'm going to do a quick fire round question for you. I'll come to Stu first. So yeah, no Rashford once again. Rangnick may not fancy him. Will he pass that sentiment on to Ten Hag, or is he just giving him a break? Do you think he'll be part of that next season, Stu?
A bit of a difficult one. Yeah, I would say so. I think it'd be a mistake if Ten Hag didn't at least give him 6 months, i.e. till January, till he makes the decision. Well, actually, you've got the World Cup. I keep forgetting the World Cup kicks off in November, doesn't it? So Rashford's going to need to, whatever he does, if he's got any aspirations of making the World Cup, he's going to need to come back and start strong. So he's going to need to make sure he's in the starting 11, or he ain't going to Qatar. It's as simple as that. We know there's a player in there with Rashford, but again, I think he's failed to tweak his game. I think he's become predictable. One of the biggest strengths Rashford had, certainly when he was playing opposite Martial on both wings, is their ability to attack the diagonal, i.e. the diagonal tip of the 18-yard box. And we're absolutely phenomenal at doing that. And that's where we were getting most of our penalties from, because they were hitting the diagonal and then trying to entice players into making the foul. And they were brilliant at that. And if the players weren't making the foul, Rashford and Martial were both using them as shadows, or should I say, guides to find the bottom corner. He stopped doing all of this. He stopped getting his head down and running, and that's critical to his game. He's got quick feet. He's got a decent brain on him when he's on his game, but he just, for whatever reason, he can't seem to get
just
back.
to interject very quickly, sorry, Stu. I think we spoke about this actually the other week. The first time I saw Rashford actually look like himself, I can't remember, it was the last game, the game before, was exactly what you've just said. As soon as he starts to get his head down and take on players, and he did that in glimpses in a game recently, he looks like the player that we all know and love.
Yeah, but I mean, I know I know people talk about confidence in football all the time, and the lads have been at the highest level, so they'll know. But you play your way back into form. You can't expect a coach to play you back into form, yourself back into form. You've got to play your own way back into form. It's up to you to find out whatever it is that's missing to unplug the gap, to find it within yourself, to get back to where you were. And there's many ways of doing it, and it's hard work, it's extra training, it's talking to fellow pros, talking to friends, talking to family. There's a multitude of ways how you can get your form back, but ultimately you get there an hour early, you kick on, and you stay 2 or 3 hours after, and you stay put. That's what you do. Maybe take yourself out of your luxurious lifestyle and go back to humble beginnings. Do something different that enables you to find what it was that made Manchester United give you a 200 grand a week contract, because there was something there that they did. He needs to refine it. He needs to do something. So Ten Hag, I would say, would want Rashford certainly within his squad, 100%, because it gives you that danger element, even if you come off the bench for 20, 25 minutes. So I think it's important that he stays. Yeah.
Get in there an hour early and stay in a couple of hours later. That sounds like another 37-year-old that played absolutely exceptional tonight. Yeah, spot on there, Phil. Agree with you. Lee, you in agreement with Stu there on Rashford?
Personally, mate, if it was me, I'd loan him out. I'd loan him out to a foreign club. I've watched him these last 3 or 4 games. What he started, confidence is absolutely shot. Absolutely shot to a point where his head's down. He's walking about. I mean, Stu just touched on it there. You've got to play your way back into form. The way you do that is by hard work and dedication. Things don't always go right for you on a football pitch. When things aren't going right for you, you run around, you work for your team, and you get yourself back to a point where you chase a ball 30, 40 yards and make a tackle. Once you've done that, you get a little bit of confidence back. I'm watching him running with the ball at the moment. It looks like he's got no pace. We all know what a quick attacking player he is. Yeah. He looks slow. I don't know how this has happened, but for me, he looks slow. It looks like he doesn't believe in himself when he's got the ball. He doesn't believe that he can take a defender on. This is a guy who carried us for a couple of seasons. You know what I mean? When we were struggling, he absolutely carried us. I think he really does need to have a complete break away from us. I'm not saying altogether, but a 6-month loan somewhere, a complete fresh start in a different league. Get him away from England for a bit, get him away from all the distractions, what's happening, because like we said on our podcast on the Fridays, he's not only thinking of football. When we was footballers, me and Phil will tell you this, we didn't have the distractions like you had, in today's game. So if you wasn't playing well, like Stu's just mentioned, you would definitely stay behind, and you would, if you had things to improve, you'd stay behind for an hour or two every game, every training session, because you knew that if you didn't, you weren't going to get a game. Now he's had the luxury of being given a chance, and to get himself back to where we know he can be. And unfortunately, he's not done it. And for me, he's had more than enough chances now. I hate saying it because he's a local lad. He's a lad what's done exactly the same as me and Phil. He's come up from the ranks. He's done really well. He's made a great living for him and his family, and he's a local boy. And I want to see the lad do well, but I feel like the only way he's going to get himself back to any sort of place where he was before is a complete break and a complete reset away from the club. Hopefully go away to somewhere like Italy, get a bit of form and bring him back in.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. Phil, when you in agreement there? You think he perhaps need a loan? It would be a real shame to... We know what he can provide. It's just been the last year where he's just really had a poor time, and we know what he's capable of, and it's so sad to see, and it would be an awful loss, I think, for United to perhaps lose him. But then again, he might not be the player that Ten Hag's looking for. So do you think that he could be, and are you in agreement with Lee, maybe he needs a loan?
Yeah, interesting point, really. I didn't really sort of think about that. What Lee's just touched on, that could be, a way of maybe getting his form back. For me, I just think he just needs to either get a break away from football, But then when he comes back, he just needs to sort of fully focus on the football side of things, because as Lee just touched on there, I think there's probably too much going on for him at the moment, and you can tell when a player's not fully focused on, the main job that he's got in hand, which is his job as a footballer. He just seems as though he's got the weight of the world on his shoulders. His decision making's never been the greatest for me, but at the moment, I think when I've watched him sort of, in the last couple of months, his decision making's been even worse than what it used to be. He's dribbling at the wrong times. He's passing it when he should shoot. He's running back and trying to tackle people when he was never getting back, and then other times he's throwing. So everything he's doing is sort of, snowballing, and it's just turning into a sort of a car crash. So for me, and we've just said there, when things aren't going well, you've got to play your way back into it, and the way you do that for me is, you work hard, you do the simple things, you get a few passes in, you play your way back into a game, you do a few positive things before you start trying to do anything, spectacular, or what the fans are probably expecting from him all the time, which he's not going to do that. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I think obviously, on the current form, he wouldn't get in the team for me under this new manager, and it's going to be difficult for him to sort of, not sort of play a lot of football now, because I don't think he will get into that England squad just based on the amount of talent we've got in them positions ahead of him. So for me, he just needs to sort of knuckle down, have a break, think about what he wants from his future. He's come through the ranks, as Lee said. Man United's probably, in his blood, and he can, on his day, be a very, very, match winner and a sort of, player that we haven't sort of got anyone like. So we want to see him back to the old Marcus Rashford. How he gets there, I don't know. But there's only him who can sort of figure that out and sort of get himself to that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And Reece, you did a show a couple of weeks ago on this channel, which I would tell everybody to go watch. Really, really great show. A lot about Ten Hag. So with that in mind, Reece, obviously you might be a bit more of an expert after that show. Do you think that Rashford could fit into Ten Hag's system?
No. I'm going to say this in the nice way possible. I like Marcus Rashford, but I think he's very one-dimensional. I don't think he has that extra. Like with certain players, like, I hate to put the comparison, but you look at like Mo Salah, for example, where when he played in Chelsea the first time, it was just about trying to fit the team. He didn't do it. They got rid of him. He went to Fiorentina. He went to Roma. And he adapted his game. He became more of a playmaker. He added more goals to his game. Whereas I look at Rashford in the same sense as an inverted winger. He's still the same player as he was back in 2015-16. Like, he hasn't added to his game. What he has done though is year on year, he's added goals and assists. That's great. It's great to give you that confidence of getting goals and assists. Like, boost your numbers, boost your confidence. But I'm going to say exactly what I said on Friday, so rehash mode. I personally think Marcus Rashford should retire as a professional footballer. I honestly think he's finished. He's played 300 games now for Man United, and he's not been good enough for a year. I genuinely think he's done. And I don't see, with the greatest respect, I don't see him turn this around. I think Stu's made excellent points. It's not just about the coach or the manager or the training staff, it's the player, it's the mindset. Phil's obviously alluded about Phil's a striker. If you want to look at great advice, like in level, let's look at Phil. Like, Phil went through a career-breaking injury, still plays like a striker. But you've got that mindset. There's something to your game. Like, I don't think he has anything else in his locker. I said it on Friday for a joke, but I mean it. He wouldn't beat Juan Mata in a race. Like, he wouldn't beat Juan Mata in a 100-meter sprint. I think he's lost that pace factor, and that's crucial to his game. The decision making. Mark, you and Stu can agree on this. I used to slate Dan James for everything. I slated him because he didn't know what he was doing on a football pitch. But right now, in all respect, I would rather have Dan James than Marcus Rashford. Because right now, he's added to his game since he's went to Leeds. He's added a killer instinct, movement with and without the ball, intelligent movement. I don't see that with Rashford, and I generally don't think even a loan move is going to work. I think professional burnouts happened. I said on Friday as a suggestion, I think you should look up Alexis Sanchez, because Alexis Sanchez is the best comparison for a football player right now in terms of burnout. He played 6 years straight. Barcelona, Chile, Arsenal, Chile, Arsenal, came to United, declined. It took him 2 years at Inter Milan to get back to his top form. And I look at Rashford now, and I generally don't see a way back for him. Personally, I don't. If he can add to his game, then great. But it ain't on the right-hand side, because he doesn't understand. He doesn't seem how to cope on the right wing. I really don't know how he doesn't cope on the right-hand side. He's a winger. You should be able to cope either side. Through the middle, he doesn't have that hold-up play that Martial has, or even to a degree Ronaldo. I think he's like Timo Werner in a respect. His best performances that I've seen at Man United are against high line defences. I think Lee or Phil I think you may agree on that one. But like when he goes up against a team that plays high up, like from a back four or a back three, he gets on those balls and he knows of his pace. He's not getting caught. But if it's a low block defence, he just runs into a brick wall. He doesn't have that know-how to do anything, and it's a long way back for him personally. I don't think he's cut out for a Ten Hag system. I think personally, with all due respect, any offer that comes in, 50, 60, 70 million, take it and invest it into the squad, because I don't think he's going to go any further. I'd love to see Rashford prove me wrong, because obviously he's a youth graduate, but he's 24. He's played over 300 games. When is the conversation about he's still a young lad? When do they eventually start disappearing? Because Lingard is still getting called a young player, and he's finished. He should have went 2 years ago. Honest opinion, I think he should be sold.
Wow. Big call there by Reese. We have digressed a little bit. Obviously, spoken about Rashford, didn't even play the game, but just wanted to get your thoughts on that with, obviously, Ralph leaving him out. Last Avenger, obviously, I don't know your real name, but great to have you here. You can't write Rashford off after one bad season. Want to see the lad given another chance. Right, we're going to come to ratings now. And we haven't got that long left, so I need to whiz through these if we can. As I said, I want everyone to, in the comments, to get your views and your ratings in as well, and we'll see how much they differentiate between the lads on the panel. As I said, thanks for everybody in the comments. Get liking, get subscribing, and it's good to have you there. Stu, David De Gea.
7. I just thought he was solid today. I thought he had a solid game, so I'll give him a 7. Didn't command his box as he should, but I'll still give him a 7.
You always have to get that one in there, but
absolutely,
but yes, yeah, I don't disagree. But no, he was solid today. Didn't have a lot to do, did he? Lee, Diogo Dalot, for you.
Dalot, what a crazy game! What an absolute crazy game, Dalot. So, I was literally laughing because he did some things and I thought, wow, it's like prime Barcelona.
Yeah.
And then he did some things and I was like, wow, it's prime conference. It was like, what's going on? So, 4, mate.
I'm going to tweet that one. That's brilliant.
That is the best comparison of all time, from prime Barcelona to prime conference.
It was crazy. He started off and I thought, oh, Dalot's having a good game. What's going on? He's actually doing okay. And then he gave the back pass and he nearly scored an own goal. I'm thinking, yeah, back to normal. So, 4, mate. 4 or 5. 4. Let's go with 4.
From Dani Alves to Paul Konchesky.
Yeah.
There you go. I was going to say Lee Lawrence to Paul Konchesky, but there you go. So moving on to Varane. Phil, what did you make of his game today?
Yeah, no, I thought Varane was excellent tonight. I thought it was probably his best performance for us, and obviously capped it off with a goal. So yeah, I'm going to give him a 8. I think it was his best performance I've seen. Obviously scored, clean sheet. So yeah, good night at the office for him. So a solid 8.
Yeah, 8. I think I can't disagree with you there, Reese. Lindelof.
For me, just like what I said when I came on earlier on, I thought he started very slow, whereas Varane got into the game very quickly, and that for me was the difference. However, he did settle. The way he actually had Embuemo controlled tonight. A lot of like pundits and the commentators were saying like Lindelof's lack of physicality would be too easy for Tony and Embuemo. He had them controlled. Like when they tried to challenge him, Tony did get past him in the first half. I think it was the first 10, 15 minutes. But after that, like he just got back into his position, regained his shape. His passing was fantastic after that. He was moving forward. He was effective in and around the opposition box when we had a set piece. He didn't get a goal, unlike Varane, but when he had to be, he was reliable as usual. So for me, not an 8, just below it, 7.
Yeah, fair points. Good points, well made. And just a quick show of hands or nods of heads. I know it's one game, well, a couple of games we've seen now, but do you think Varane and Lindelof could be that partnership that we're looking for next season? Anyone want to come in on that?
Only if we add a goalkeeper, personally. I think you need a goalkeeper just to cover like the tracking.
You do.
I've said it all season. I think we need another defender like Rudiger, that type of defender. I feel like that's what we've lacked for a long, long time. And I don't see Lindelof is that type of defender. Harry Maguire's not that type of defender. Baye is, but he's too unreliable on the ball. I feel like we need a real strong Yapstam-like defender. What's been
I think it's our best partnership that we've got in terms of available now, but I think we do need to strengthen in there.
Yeah,
definitely.
Okay. So moving on to Telles. I'm looking forward to this one, Stu. I know you'll probably have a lot to say on him. Made a number of mistakes tonight, almost cold ball for a goal at the other end. Talk to me.
Well, 5. The thing is, he just doesn't know how to position himself as a fullback. He just doesn't get it. He's got no idea, and because he doesn't communicate with whoever's playing left side, he's constantly out of position. He's constantly ball watching. He's constantly allowing the defender to run off him. Their attacker to run off him. He's woeful. So he gets a 5. And I'm being generous.
Stu. Oh, and he's being generous. 5 from Stu on Alex Telles.
I'd have given him a 4.
There you go. 5 and 4. Lee, Scott McTominay tonight. How do you think he performed?
I think Scott went under the radar a bit. I think he did the job what was asked of him tonight, to be honest with you. I don't think he did anything special whatsoever, but I don't think he actually did anything wrong either. He patrolled that defensive midfield, won the balls a few times, played nice and simple, and I'd probably give him a 6. Don't think he did much wrong at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't disagree there. Just come back to the defence very quickly. Richard, great to have you in the comments, mate. Bill from the back, like Fergie always said, Ten Hag needs to concentrate on that defence first. I think it's obviously been a massive issue this season.
No, we need to buy 2 fullbacks, mate. No, even Wan-Bissaka's fit, Shaw's fit, or Telles or Dalot, they're not good enough. Modern day football now is the fullbacks or the wingbacks have a massive say on how the game's played and how everything goes, and I think that's where we're lacking more than anywhere. Really, is good fullbacks.
Well, if you compare us to like of Reece James, Trent, Cancelo, we're
massive difference.
Yeah,
the modern day it seems like the fullbacks are involved. Did you watched it against Chelsea, and Reece James absolutely run the show from fullback. I was a left back, and that didn't happen nowadays. Did it, Phil? You know what I mean? But it seems like everything's played now from fullback.
Yeah, a player like that should just retire. Like,
I'll tell you what, they can't fucking tackle, can they? Though,
no.
The 3 of them, you said, bunch of fucking posers, but they can't tackle, can they?
I was waiting for that. I was waiting for that tackle.
It's just horrendous. The positional sense is just amateur at best. They've not got a clue when to tuck round. They've not got a clue when to close a player down or which word he should be defended. I watched the game and I watched him, and I've got my hand in my head thinking, where are you going? What are you doing? Speak to your centre back. Speak to your winger. It's not hard to communicate. You know what I mean?
I played centre half and centre midfield, And communication's key to everything, isn't it? But centre half, you're just constantly pulling your fullbacks back, telling them exactly how far apart you want them, where then when they can go slightly up, when you need them deep. But these lot, they haven't got a fucking clue. They haven't got a fucking clue.
I mean, Yap Stam's been there today, and apparently just before the commentary, he said he'd be open to any position within Man United next year. I think it needs a defending coach like Yap Stam to get a grip of these defenders and say, listen, lads, you're a team. This four. Forget everyone else. You're a team. You've got to work together and cover around. They don't seem to have any idea what to do when they're at a position with the ball.
Tell you one thing though, like if Eric Bailly leaves in the summer, the number 3 shirt will be available. I know Stam didn't wear it in the 90s, but he can always slip it on. Like give him some like performance enhancers, like a couple of Red Bulls. I'm sure he'd be fine for 90 minutes.
Listen, put Paul McShane back at centre back. He'd do a better job.
I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind as long as it's somebody who generally just does the job properly. We don't need to have like the best technical defense yet. We're not going to get to that straight away, but before we can even consider playing it from the back, I want our back four to at least be able to at least marshal their positions, and then we start playing in that manner. If we just go from like A to B, skipping C and all that crap like too quickly, then we are done for. There needs to be at least 4 defenders that can play football.
I think hopefully when Ten Hag gets us that natural identity back and a formation and a way of playing, that should hopefully greatly improve, because if they're playing a different team and you've got a different partner week in week out and you're playing a different structure, that doesn't help either. You 1 week you should be pressing, 1 week you're dropping off. But once we've got get into a way of playing and a system, hopefully an improvement with that.
Question for you though, just from a fullback perspective, right? This is my last question, Mark. Don't worry. Would you see, because I think the only one right now who maybe has a chance is at the moment is probably Shaw. I don't think any of them are good enough. I personally don't like anything of our fullbacks are good enough. But would you be fine with, say, 1 more season of Shaw? If it meant Telles is sold, we promoted Alvaro Fernandez, he gets a full year to develop, and then potentially he takes the reign, then we just sign someone else later.
I said it beginning of the season. Was it beginning of the season or was it last season when Shaw it was having a worlder? And he's got potential.
Last season, yeah.
Luke Shaw has got potential as a left back. He just doesn't do it consistently enough. That's the problem. When he's on his game, was it at the beginning of the season? I'm sure it was. And we
last season, he was excellent. Last season, went into the Euros, and then
we're saying he's the best left back in the country. And it's the consistency. It's keeping him fit. Obviously, his body fluctuates from one thing to the next. It looks like he's been eating McDonald's for 6 weeks straight sometimes, and it's just a mad one.
But no, I get your point. I just thought I'd ask because I think I would like to see next year. I would like to see Dallo Telles sold, and I'd like to see Ethan Laird as the backup right back. And we get a starting right back.
I'd like to see Laird and Fernandez get a good pre-season in them. And get. I'd like to see him get given a chance. Well, obviously Fernandez. The next 2 games, if it's 20 minutes, half an hour, just to see what the kid can do.
Yeah, I'm the same as you.
Wholeheartedly agree. And there's lots of views on what we need in the summer, what positions we need to bring in, and maybe we need to have a show with the 5 of us again after transfer deadline day and see if we've actually checked those off, but we'll see. Phil, going to come to you quickly on Nemanja Matic and his performance tonight.
Yeah, another good performance from Matic. I thought last game as well, he was probably one of our best players. Just control the game. Obviously not like the legs anymore in terms of getting around for full 90 minutes, but I thought he was very good again tonight, always showing for the ball, wanted to, make an option whenever anyone had the ball. So I thought he did really well. Always likes to play forward as well, which I like. Again, midfielders who want to look forward and break the lines. So yeah, just going to give him a 7. He's a defensive midfielder, so he got another clean sheet as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I thought he was excellent tonight. We've seen a lot more of him recently. I know we always make the joke about not being able to play 2 games in a row, but we've seen quite a bit of him. Definitely his last performance at Old Trafford, and it was really nice to see, obviously, that send-off at the end.
I think as
And
well,
obviously,
what I like as well about, obviously, because he's come out and said he's leaving as well, you'd think some players, maybe would just, to just like put it as to just toss it off basically. And I think he's been one who's played a lot of games recently, knowing he's going to leave at the end of the season. He's still put 100% in. He's still, doing the business, and that's all you can ask really from a professional point of view. So fair play to him.
Yeah, absolutely. He's certainly a professional, and has been throughout his time at United. And obviously, wish him all the best. It's a shame we didn't get him a few years prior to when we did, because he's certainly on the decline from that. And I've said this on the last show, I think, when you two were on as well, and Stu. We need to get someone exactly like him. He controls and dictates the pace and the game so well. We need to get someone just 5, 6, 7 years younger. But like with the attributes that we have from him, Reese, Juan Mata, excellent tonight. But what's your rating for him?
Yeah, he was wonderful. Also, just to touch on Matic as well, last comment from him, his 250th appearance as well in his last game at Old Trafford. I think what a good way to hit a milestone, 250 at Old Trafford, and he goes out with a win at home. Juan Mata, I'll be honest, I did not want to see him play. I wanted to see Garnacho start, but he waited 10 years to play in the number 10 role. So I'll give him that. I thought that was the best comment of all night from the commentators. Like Juan Mata, I think it was Gary Neville saying he's waited 10 years to play as a number 10, and he delivered. He was fantastic in that role. The only thing that's unfortunate for him is a consistent set system, a set style of play to suit him is now coming into Manchester United, and he's leaving, and he's at the wrong side of 30. Where if he had been 4 or 5 years younger, this style of play would be tailor made for him. Like this would be perfect for him. Like, and I'll say this in the nicest way: if he was 4 or 5 years younger, Bruno Fernandez would not be starting as a number 10. He wouldn't, because Mata would have that role completely knocked down. But that's no disrespect to Bruno Fernandez. He's a phenomenal player. It's just Mata 4 or 5 years ago was just tailor-made for the league of how he controls the ball. But the way he played tonight was very simple, and I think that was the best part. I think Stu said earlier on that him and Eriksen for him were the two standout players, like with passing or just controlling the game. I echo that statement. I thought the way he controlled the ball, always looking forward. If he couldn't make it forward, he was looking for the wings. He was trying to find anyone in space. And he fed Ronaldo. Something we haven't done a lot all season is feeding the strikers. He was feeding them with ease. And he was also getting Bruno Fernandez into space. We've always said about how we unlock certain players. We unlocked Bruno in that sense, about getting freedom for him to be effective from the wing. It's no coincidence that Bruno plays a lot better with technical players. His first goal in 11 games says it all for me. So for that, Mata, and an assist as well.
Excuse the pun.
Exactly. For me, Mata, he's not a 10, but he's the second best on the field for me. So Mata's getting a 9. All respect, 9 from me, because there's only one man getting a 10.
Yeah, can't disagree with you. He was excellent tonight. Really, really good to see. And unfortunately, it probably is last
and professional.
Old Trafford. Yeah, an extreme professional. It's been excellent, and certainly a great player for us over the years. Just not really utilising the right positions, but it's a great technical player. Absolutely. And you mentioned him a moment ago, Reese, but Stu, I'll come to you on Bruno, the left-hand side. Actually, Mata tonight, unfortunately, if it wasn't for VAR, would have got an assist, and that was really unfortunate.
Actually, no, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, that one got chalked.
So that was a real shame. But anyway, sorry, Stu, Bruno Fernandez on that left-hand side.
Yeah, first of all, apologies for my Freudian slip with my swearing. Sorry, guys. Anyway, Bruno. Well, first of all, Mata gets a 9.5 for me. By the way, I just thought I can't quite go to a 10, but he gets a 9.5. Bruno got to be an 8. I thought he was good today. I thought he looked like he's on the way back to something like his best. But as Reece quite rightly pointed out, he's got technical players around him. He loves a technical player. And when you've got that buzz that Ronaldo was giving, that buzz that Alanga was giving, the buzz that Mata was giving, I think it was an easy 8 for Bruno.
Yeah, Can't disagree with that. I thought he was much better. More of a Bruno we saw. Got his goal. Obviously, we were talking about numbers previous season. Not so much of that this season, but got his goal tonight, which is good to see. And hopefully give him a bit of confidence. Shame we're coming to the end of the season. But Lee Alanga, I thought he was actually very good again tonight. We spoke about him a few times recently. You've got to take risks as that kind of player. He's going to make mistakes, but he was pretty flawless tonight, I felt.
Yeah, he's a good lad. He's a young, hard-working. It's what we've been wanting for the majority of the team to perform like all season. We've wanted him to have his attitude, especially off the ball and the work rate he puts in. I think he's put another shift in again today. It showed glimpses of his quality, especially for the goal. The movement, the spin, and how he got to the byline and put the cross in the perfect position later on a play for Bruno. Yeah, didn't do much wrong at all. Still got a lot of growth, I think, as a player, but he's fresh, he's raw. He will learn, and I think this is where we was on about, we likes of Juan Matters and things like that. I think Stu touched on it earlier about, trying to keep Matter if possible. I think the problem we've got there is the wage structure with Matter. If we keep him, we can't keep him on the wages that he's been used to. But I do agree with what you was on about people like your Langas and your young lads now, which are coming up, look massively up to him. And I think it would be a bonus if we could keep players like that. But again, as a mark, I'd give him a strong 7.
Yeah, strong 7. I thought he was pretty good tonight. And Ajmal in the comments, in agreement, Alanga puts the brakes on and he can dribble and beat his man. Saw that a couple of times tonight, which is really good. And from one striker to another, Phil, what's your rating for Ronaldo, please, mate?
I'm going to give him a 9. I don't really ever give anyone a 10 unless it's, absolutely.
There's always room for improvement, Phil. You know that. There's always room for improvement.
That's it. So, but I do think tonight, I think it was probably his best all-round performance so far for me. I think every part of his game tonight come together. I think we're seeing glimpses of everything. I thought he won his headers. He was strong. He gave us a platform to build off. He was linking the play really well, holding it up. He come and dropped in as well, so he gave defenders problems. Didn't always sort of be the last man. So if he was dropping in, give space for likes of Bruno and Alanga to go into the space in behind. And obviously he got his goal. Maybe a little bit unlucky with the other one, just offside. But yeah, I thought he was fantastic tonight. And as I say, he led the line brilliantly, and that's what we want to see from him on a regular basis. People have maybe criticised him at times this year for his lack of work rate and the attitude maybe at times. But tonight, gave the ball away a couple of times, chased back, tackled and sort of, did everything that you could ask from somebody at his age. So yeah, definitely a sort of really solid performance tonight. And as a striker, if you score, that's the main aim for you. So yeah, I'm going to give him a 9.
Yeah, it's sensational tonight. 37 years old, would you believe? Quite incredible. Nearly had a hat-trick. Bit unfortunate, but absolutely phenomenal tonight. And really, really good to see everything about his game. Things that he's been criticised, we've spoken about, was absolutely flawless as well. Just want to thank everybody in the comments tonight. We've overrun a little bit tonight. Only 2 more games of the season. 2 more times you'll see my face, at least for the reaction, but then we've got the whole season again to do that. But yeah, just want to say thanks for all the comments. Brilliant stuff. And thanks, boys, for coming on. Really enjoyed all of your thoughts and ratings tonight. Excellent stuff. And of course, always great to get Lee and Phil on, so thank you very much for coming on, guys. We've got a few shows obviously coming up. 2 more games left, as I said, with 2 more of these. But yeah, so keep your eyes peeled, and we'll see you next time.